Welcome to this explainer. Today we are diving headfirst into the massive 30-year multimedia mutation of the Resident Evil franchise. We're going to explore how a single video game went from its claustrophobic origins on the original PlayStation to an explosive cross-media empire spanning anime, manga, blockbuster movies, and CG animations. It's a crazy ride, showing exactly how one survival horror game managed to infect all of global pop culture. Okay, let's kick things off with a pretty wild piece of trivia. Have you ever wondered why this globally recognized franchise has a completely different name in its home country? It's a little detail that often confuses newcomers, but the story behind it perfectly highlights how international marketing can completely reshape a brand's identity. So, here's what happened. When Capcom brought Biohazard, which was the original intended name, to the US back in 1996, they hit a massive legal wall. Copyright conflicts immediately sprang up thanks to an existing DOS-based game and, surprisingly enough, an American hardcore punk rock band that had already claimed the name. Forced to pivot, Capcom held a company-wide contest, and that gave us the winning title, Resident Evil. Why? Well, simply because the game took place in a creepy mansion full of evil residents. To put this into perspective, today, that single isolated mansion incident has exploded into a global phenomenon. We are talking about over 201 million game copies sold worldwide as of May 2026. That is absolutely staggering. It's Capcom's best-selling franchise by a landslide, truly cementing its legacy as one of the highest-grossing horror properties of all time. Section 1. Mutation. The evolution of core gameplay. Building on elements from the 1989 game Sweet Home, Resident Evil literally coined the term survival horror. Created by Shinji Mikami and Tokuro Fujiwara, the 1996 original didn't just hand you an arsenal of guns and unleash you. Instead, it forced you to carefully manage incredibly scarce resources, literally counting every single bullet and health item, all while fighting off terrifying biological weapons. And to survive for 3 decades, the franchise couldn't just stay stagnant. It had to completely overhaul its mechanics 3 distinct times. Back in 1996, claustrophobic fixed cameras and rigid tank controls really heightened the tension. Then, in 2005, Resident Evil 4 revolutionized the entire gaming industry with its over-the-shoulder action. And in 2017, they fearlessly pivoted again to terrifying first-person perspectives, even fully integrating VR to put you directly inside the nightmare. Section 2. The Cinematic Outbreak, Hollywood versus Canon. Now, when moving to the big screen, the franchise took 2 distinct, honestly really fascinating paths. On one side, you've got the live-action Hollywood films starring Mila Jovovich. These were incredibly lucrative, grossing over $1.2 billion, but they feature original characters and non-canon storylines. On the flip side, you have the CG animated films and the Netflix series Infinite Darkness. These are strictly canon chapters starring beloved original game heroes like Leon S. Kennedy, effectively bridging the narrative gaps between the main games. Continuing that live-action legacy, there's a highly anticipated September 2026 cinematic reboot directed by Zach Kreger on the horizon. But instead of adapting an existing hero's journey, this original film offers a completely fresh, parallel perspective on the infamous 1998 Raccoon City outbreak. It follows a medical career named Brian, played by Austin Abrams, and it's shaping up to be a really grounded love letter to the classic games. Section 3. Multimedia Mutation, Comics, Novels, and Beyond. But the viral spread of Resident Evil didn't stop at the box office. No way. Over the years, the lore didn't just grow, it mutated into a cross-media empire, rewarding hardcore fans with a living, breathing universe. Fans could dive deeper through Marvel's 1997 prologues, Wildstorm's monthly comics, and S.T.A.R.S absolutely beloved original novels. The horror even translated into incredibly detailed Japanese and Hong Kong manhwas, official live-action stage plays in Japan, and fully immersive Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights. In fact, the sheer footprint of this franchise is so massive that Guinness World Records officially recognized it as the most successful movie series to be based on a video game. It's just undeniable proof that this universe is universally captivating, whether you've got a controller in your hands or a bucket of popcorn on your lap. Section 4. The in-universe timeline. So the crucial point here is understanding how all these canon games and animated films actually connect into one massive narrative. The lore shifts dramatically over the decades.
In the early 90s, the threats were grounded in corporate greed, specifically the localized T virus and G virus in Raccoon City, engineered by the Umbrella Corporation. But as the timeline marches on, the bioweapons evolve drastically, going from mind-controlling Las Plagas parasites in rural Spain all the way to ancient, horrifying fungal colonies known as the megamycete mold in Eastern Europe.
Tracing this evolution really reveals a brilliant narrative escalation. We start with the isolated 1998 incident at the Spencer Mansion, which bleeds directly into the total destruction of Raccoon City. This then mutates into global bioterrorism from 2004 through 2013, eventually causing the collapse of Umbrella itself. The story then zooms back into the deeply personal horror of Ethan Winters battling the mold from 2017 to 2021. And that timeline brings us right to the shocking events of 2026.
Section 5, 2026, Requiem and Beyond.
This brings us to the present day, where 30 years of intricate lore are culminating in the newest major installment. Released in February 2026, Resident Evil Requiem brings the story totally full circle. The game sends returning veteran hero Leon S. Kennedy alongside a newcomer, FBI analyst Grace Ashcroft, straight back into the literal, radioactive ruins of Raccoon City to investigate a terrifying new syndrome affecting the survivors. Now, if you want to fully understand the massive stakes of Requiem, you're going to want to focus on 3 foundational games. First, play the Resident Evil 2 remake to truly grasp the tragedy of Raccoon City's fall. Second, play the Resident Evil 4 remake to witness Leon's evolution from a rookie cop to a hardened operative. And finally, play Resident Evil Village, which astonishingly reveals Umbrella's steep, century-old origins. So what's the big picture here? If there's one key takeaway from this explainer, it's that Resident Evil survives and thrives because it never stops reinventing itself. It masterfully honors its tense survival horror roots while daring to mutate into action-packed, interconnected forms across games, comics, and film. As we prepare to head back into the desolate wasteland where this global nightmare first began, we really have to ask, after almost 30 years, what terrifying dark secrets are still waiting for us in the ashes of Raccoon City? Thank you so much for exploring this phenomenal franchise with me. Keep learning and stay focused.